6 p.m. in Banswa in the west region of Cameroon, same time right here in Akwa Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast tonight. Our major stories tonight: Cameroon's political scene is heating up as the October 12, 2025 presidential elections approaches. The elections organizing body, ELECAM, is receiving the files of more candidates as the application deadline draws near. The latest parties to have dropped their candidacies today is the Social Democratic Front SDF party and the Cameroon People Democratic Movement CPDM party. Away from that, in a stunning turn of events, the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, Manidem, throws its support behind Professor Maurice Kamto, leader of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM party, as their candidate for the 2025 presidential elections. Those are our top stories tonight. Stay with us for the news in full. Once more, thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. The African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, Manidem, has made a notable declaration by endorsing Professor Maurice Kamto, the leader of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM party, as their candidate for the 2025 presidential elections. This move is not entirely unexpected, given that Anissé Ekane's previous hints of alignment with Kamto, including defending him on TV debates and symbolically handing him a key during a meeting in Paris, France. Malaglory has the details.
In a surprising twist that has sent shockwaves across the Cameroonian political landscape, this Wednesday, July 16, that Professor Maurice Kamto will contest the 2025 presidential election under the banner of the Douala-based political party, Manidem, led by long-time opposition figure Anissé Ekane. The information, which began circulating widely on social media, was initially believed to be speculative until Ekane confirmed its authenticity during a Thursday morning interview on a private radio station. According to him, the information originated from a confidential document that was allegedly leaked by the Yaoundé Sith Police District.
Our collaboration is not new. It started during the 2013 municipal and legislative elections and continued through 2018. We have simply chosen the right moment to reveal it. We change with the power in place. We adjust our strategy accordingly. That's what serious political parties do. It's about being dynamic.
Ekane has long hinted a possible alignment with Kamto. During a heated televised political debate earlier this year, Ekane fiercely defended Kamto and condemned a controversial editorial that he believed unjustly targeted the CRM leader.
What I heard about Maurice Kamto and the CRM party is not just careless, it's criminal. At a time when our nation needs healing and reconciliation, such divisive rhetoric only adds fuel to the fire. We must turn the page on past election tensions, not reopen old wounds.
Vraiment. While critics question the legality of Kamto's candidacy under another party while still serving as president of the CRM party, a 2018 ministerial note from Minister of Territorial Administration Paul Atanganji recognized Anissé Ekane as the legitimate president of Manidem. This legal acknowledgement, observers say, clears the path for Kamto to run under the Manidem ticket without constitutional complications. With this alliance now in the open, Cameroon's 2025 presidential race has taken a dramatic turn. Whether this strategic fusion of forces will reshape the country's political future remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: no one saw it coming.
and the race to A2D will indeed be fierce. In the run-up to Cameroon's presidential elections scheduled for October 12, 2025, more political figures are officially entering the race. Today, the spotlight was on Joshua Osei, flag bearer of the Social Democratic Front SDF party, who submitted his candidacy documents at the LECAM's regional office in Bamenda. Our correspondent Bostella compiled the details in her report.
The chairman of the Social Democratic Front arrived at Custom Junction in Bamenda to a rousing welcome from supporters. Rather than drive, he chose to make a symbolic 3-kilometer walk alongside party militants to the regional office of LECAM, where he submitted his candidacy documents at exactly 1:15 p.m.
The new electoral code doesn't ask for a medical certificate, so we need to check whether the candidate we are offering to the Cameroonian people is fit, because we don't want any president who is more than 70 years old again. If a candidate doesn't do the same thing, it means that he's not fit for the job, and we don't need anybody who's not fit for the job, because that job is the question.
Upon arrival at LECAM, Osei formally submitted his paperwork, marking a key moment in his party's push to reclaim national influence ahead of the October 12 presidential election.
It is very important you understand that we have a political identity, and this identity takes us to our roots. And the headquarters of the Social Democratic Front are based here in Bamenda, so there was no other place we could have gone to deposit the file of the next president of Cameroon.
Earlier, a brief verbal exchange broke out between SDF militants and local administrative officials from Bamenda 1 subdivision. But the party thinks such tensions will fade after November 6th, a reference to the day after the election when they hope to take power.
As from the beginning of November, this administration will have a new government taking care of them and will work together.
With his candidacy now official, Joshua Osei joins a growing field of challengers seeking to unseat President Paul Biya, one of Africa's longest-serving leaders in what is shaping up to be a high-stakes and closely watched election.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bostella reporting there. And we stay in politics. Aspiring presidential candidates in Cameroon have until July 21st to submit the application files as stipulated in the Electoral Code. To be eligible, candidates' documents must also comply with the requirements outlined in Section 122 of the Penal Code, as AC Lucy tells us.
Chapter 3, Section 122 of the Cameroon Penal Code outlines the specific requirements that individuals must fulfill when submitting their candidacy papers for the presidential election. To begin with, the candidacy papers must include essential personal information about the candidate. This includes the candidate's full name, date, and place of birth, occupation, and residence. The candidates are required to specify the color, emblem, and title they have chosen for the printing of the ballot papers. Additionally, the candidacy papers must be accompanied by several important documents. Firstly, candidates must provide a list of 300 signatures from dignitaries as required under Section 121 of the Penal Code where applicable, plus a certified copy of the candidate's birth certificate, which should not be more than 3 months old, is necessary. Moreover, if the candidate is sponsored by a political party, they must include the presentation and nomination papers submitted by the party. In addition to these documents, candidates are also required to submit a declaration in which they undertake on honor to abide by the Constitution of Cameroon. Furthermore, a certificate of non-conviction, criminal record number 3, also no more than 3 months old, must be provided to confirm the candidate's legal standing. Alongside this, a tax certificate is required to indicate the candidate's tax status, confirming whether or not they have fulfilled their tax obligations. Additionally, a certificate of nationality must be included to verify the candidate's citizenship. Lastly, candidates must present the original copy of a certificate showing payment of their required deposit for candidacy.
And in other news, Minister Paul Atanganji has ignited a heated debate by questioning Professor Maurice Kamto's eligibility to run in the 2025 presidential election, citing the CRM party's boycott of the 2020 municipal and legislative elections. Critics argue that Atanganji is overstepping his authority, substituting himself for a LECAM and the Constitutional Council, as Innocent Aze tells us.
Paul Atanganji, Minister of Territorial Administration, once again rains threats and spews fire at CRM National President Professor Maurice Kamto. During the just-ended first semester conference of the 10 regional governors in Yaoundé, the Minad boss questioned the competence of rights advocates who have for some time supported the possibility of the CRM to directly present a candidate for the presidential election. Paul Atanganji remains adamant and declared that the CRM party that boycotted the municipal and legislative elections of February 9, 2020 cannot present a candidate for the 2025 presidential election. Didier Ndenge, a journalist, says it is not the place of Minister Atanganji to decide on the candidacy of a political leader and presidential aspirant.
Ministre Paul Atanganji et Maurice Kamto, c'est chien et chat depuis quelques années déjà.
Even though the CRM president is due to stand as presidential candidate under the political movement Manidem of Aniset Ekane, it is believed that the declarations of the Minad boss sounded like a sort of substitution to the competent bodies, Elections Cameroon and the Constitutional Council, to know the candidatures of political parties and their leaders engaged for the presidential election. Didier Ndenge, as Minister Atanganji is playing the intimidation game that does not have its place in the candidature of a political leader. It remains the role of Elections Cameroon, he says.
À Elections Cameroun de trancher ou pas si le professeur Maurice Kamto est candidat ou pas.
Il ne faut pas chercher à pleurer au deuil de quelqu'un d'autre plus que celui qui est en deuil.
The Minister of Territorial Administration threatens to put in place his famous Moulinex in the case where some political leaders fail to align.
Now away from politics, the President of the Republic, head of the armed forces, has signed a series of decrees concerning significant changes within the Cameroonian military hierarchy. Several top-ranking officers have been promoted to higher ranks, as Babla Jonathan tells us.
Through the presidential decree signed July 14, 2025, 7 senior officers were promoted to the rank of Brigadier General and Vice Admiral. Colonel Boum Bissou Raymond in the National Gendarmerie has been raised to the rank of Brigadier General. In the Army, Ngolo Ngomba Tobi Gabriel, Pelene François, General Coordinator of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, Mve Alexandre Fernand, Sajo Wasumi Robert, and Chembu Zambu Guy Martin have been promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. Daniel Njok Elokobi, Jean Calvin Momha, Emmanuel Amogu, Hippolyte Ebaka, and Ahmed Mahamat have been lifted from the rank of Brigadier General to Major General. In the Navy, Joseph Fouda, Jean Mendoa, and Pierre Njine Njonkam, previously Rear Admirals, were promoted to Vice Admirals.
And that's it for this first part of the news. Episode 9 of Cameroon Today comes up next. As I rightly said, that's it for this first part of the news. Episode 9 of How is Cameroon Today comes up next. Etok and Kolabang, two villages in a Vudula subdivision of the Leke Division Central region of Cameroon, have been plunged in darkness for 3 decades despite the installation of wireless poles. Ironically, these villages are situated just few meters away from Yaoundé, which is the political capital of Cameroon. Smart Chikan Gabriel reports on how the situation there is.
Contrary to other villages, Etok enjoys tarred roads but still suffering. Etok is underdeveloped. We have many difficulties in Etok. I have never seen a village like this one. A project has never started and ended well in Etok. One of such projects which has been abandoned is the community hall of Etok. The construction work started before 2023 and was supposed to be completed within a period of 3 months. But 2 years gone, the construction works have stopped. In the meantime, youths unemployed spend their time drinking sachet whiskies. Potable water remains a luxury in Etok. Getting the precious liquid here is hell. Etok is joined in this difficulty by a neighboring village, Nkolabang, whose taps have remained dry. For one to get water during dry season, you pay children to go in search of it. Potable water is very difficult to get. Natives of Nkolabang depend on nature for water. During rainy days, basins are lined up to get water. When it's raining, most of the water we fetch is for house use, since we can't drink it. Reasons you see basins with water. Water is not definitely the major problem of the people of Etok and Kolabang. For over 30 years, they have not seen electricity with their eyes. We have roads, but no electricity here. We don't know why, and we are close to Yaoundé. Since a former MP brought us electricity, it has now disappeared. Poles are installed everywhere, but no power supply. The people of Etok and Kolabang say it's been 30 years now since the poles without cables were planted. The people have been waiting for electricity, which is not coming. It's since 1996 that we don't have electricity here. We are very disappointed, though we used to have it before. But since 96, no power supply. Close to God, but yet far from paradise. Just 1.5 kilometers from the main town Evudula, in the outskirts of Yaoundé, but they are in total desperation. We want things to change. At least we are close to the capital city, and the road is very accessible. Why should we live in this condition? The inhabitants of Etok and Kolabang villages in Evudula subdivision, Leke division of the Central region, want better living standards.
Talking Point is up next. Tonight on Talking Point, we'll be receiving a political analyst. He's known as Professor Mark Anthony AKUHMBOM. Good evening, Professor. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight. Article 2, Paragraph 3 of Law Number 90/056 of 19th of December 1990 relating to political parties states, no one may belong to more than one political party. Could this text threaten Professor Maurice Kamto's candidacy?
Let's be sincere. The law, Article 2, Paragraph 3 of Law Number 90/056 of 19 December 1999, relating to the association of freedom of associations, which has to do with political parties, states clearly that no one may belong to more than one political party. I want to say this: that is the law, and it needs to be respected. But in a situation where a people political parties decide to form a coalition, an alliance, they can, in one way or the other, endorse someone who will be a joint candidate for all of them. In relation to the situation of Kamto, as we are talking right now, if he been a candidate invested by Manidem, has not in any way formed a coalition with Manidem, if MRC is not in a coalition with other parties, then it is likely he is going to resign from his party, the MRC, or has already resigned because, as we are talking, he has already been invested by the party, and tomorrow, which is Friday, his 5 documents will be presented at Elekam's office. So, in that respect, I want to believe that if there is no coalition, as we are talking right now between these parties, then he will respect the law and resign. And that will be the path for him to gain that investiture, to be invested as a candidate for the presidential elections come October 12, 2025.
Now, can the precedent set by Barrister Keremuna's investiture by the Univer Party and Cabral Libi's similar case that took place in the 2018 presidential elections be considered as establishing a case law that could support or challenge Kamto's candidacy?
I like the question. You see, I want to be clear about this. If you look at 2018, somebody like Cabral Libi had no political party. He was leading. And to an extent, we will say he was not a member of any political party. And so, making the choice to go along with Univer was deciding to become a member of Univer. So indirectly, since he had no party, for him to be invested by Univer, he had to become a member of the party. And becoming a member, that is respecting the law. He had no 2 parties. So it cannot be a precedent. When we come to the case of Akeremuna has not been a member of a party. He has well been an individual, a member of the civil society without a political party, without any allegiance to any political party. And so, if Univer deems it right to invest him as their candidate, indirectly, he also has gained party membership and as well now belongs to the Univer. That is the only reason why he is at the present moment invested as a candidate. And don't forget, it is a coalition. It's a coalition of parties headed by Univer that invested Akeremuna. He did not have a political party before making this move. In 2018, he wanted to run. In fact, he ran as an independent candidate. So, we can't compare the situation of we can't take the situation of Professor Maurice Kamto, who is the president of a political party, MRC, to compare it with that of Cabral Libi in 2018 and Akeremuna in 2025. It's not possible. You can't do that. So it is clear that Maurice Kamto is still the president of MRC till we see his resignation letter. But I believe he is a man of the law, so he's not going to go against the law. He's going to work according to the law.
Now, just to make this clarification, Karalibi was never a militant or, let's say, member of the Univer party. Instead, he received an investiture to become the party's candidate for the elections. However, due to some disagreements on certain terms, he decided to terminate their contract. Now, given that Analyst Ekane was recognized as the president of the Manidem party by the Minister of Territorial Administration in 2018 over Judene Yebga, do you see a possibility of the government reversing this decision now to block Professor Maurice Kamto from becoming a candidate in today's elections?
You see, that is the logic behind it. There is a particular letter from the Minister of Territorial Administration that is all over the social media today, which was actually signed on the 17th of July 2018. That's over 7 years ago. You see, that letter gave Manidem party to Analyst Ekane. So Analyst Ekane, since as we talk, that particular letter was sent officially to deals to governors, that particular letter still holds its place and authority. So if somebody like Jodone Yebga wants to run as a candidate, it will not be of Manidem, it will be of another party. But like we know, we are in Cameroon and anything is possible. Anything is possible. So I would just want to say, in my opinion, I think this should not call for any noise. I think the Minister of Territorial Administration should not in any way engage in this brouhaha.
Now, let's come up to this, talking about the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atangaji. A recent statement on the eligibility of certain presidential candidates be considered as overreach of his authority. Do you think so?
Minister Atangaji, as a citizen of the nation, has freedom of speech to make any declaration, but usurping the authority of Eleka is what no Cameroonian should accept or will accept. As long as the freedom of speech is concerned, he has the right to say MRC cannot invest a candidate for this election. That is okay. But if you follow the manner in which he made this recent statement, it seems as if it was the state that was talking. Elecam is an independent body, the only body with the audacity and authority to decide who runs and who does not. The Minister of Territorial Administration does not have that audacity and authority. So when he said he is speaking under authority or is speaking with authority, that was a wrong statement in itself. And it's very dangerous because it can threaten the freedom of the people. That is wrong. Let Elecam do their job.
Professor Mark Anthony AKUHMBOM, thank you so much for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight. That's what put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for always staying with us. Have a lovely evening in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.